My name is Darren Pearson, and today I'm going to walk you through how to set up WordPress using a tool called Xampp. Now, accompanying this video, there should be a handout that looks something like this. Every student will be given a unique ID, student 01, 02, 03, something like that. And you can kind of see what that looks like right here. For this example, I'm going to be using student 99. Your ID will be a little bit different, but just kind of keep that in mind as we walk through the example. So to start with, we're going to fire up Xampp. So Xampp should be installed in the computers in the labs. If it's not, you can always go to their website, and it's called, where is it? ApacheFriends.org, and you can download it for Windows, for Linux, or for Mac. We obviously have Macs here in the in room 4150, but if you want to set this up at home, you can do it with your own flavor, and it's a pretty easy process to go and get that set up. So we've already got that installed. So we go up to the Spotlight and just type in Xampp. And we can see there it's installed. Now I think it's only installed in the first 3 rows of room 4150, so you want to sit, I don't know if the back couple rows have it installed or not. But we click on it and start it up, and it looks something like this. Pretty simple, pretty minimal interface that we have here. We'll start in the General tab and click Start. And you'll notice it went from red to yellow, and as it's starting up, when it's all done with this process, when Xampp is all ready to go, this should turn green. So we'll give it another minute or two, hopefully not too long. And what Xampp is it's a web server. So normally we have our, if we have static HTML files, we can just click on them and view them locally. This is actually running a web server. So this is the Apache software included in Xampp is running the vast majority of web servers around the world. Now this will be a local web server, so since we're behind a firewall, the outside world will not be able to see this. But it's pretty much the same software that you'd find that they're using on any kind of hosting solution that has internet access. Okay, we've got a green light. That's good. We have an IP address there, and we'll make note of that for a little bit later. I'll go to services now, and we can see we have Apache, Pro, FTP, and MySQL. MySQL is a database that we're going to use, so I'm going to click on that and say Start. And Apache is the web server that we're going to use, and we're going to click on that and say Start. And what the heck, I'll just start this up, even though we won't be FTP, and we can see how that. And again, we wait for green lights. Alternatively, we can click the Start All option down here. Under the Network tab, we should see something like this, localhost :8080 points to 80. We're going to enable that. I'm not going to get into too much detail what that does, but we get a green light. And then lastly, volumes. First of all, I'm going to mount this volume. And that goes pretty quick. And then if I hit Explore, it's going to pop open a Finder window. And at the top, it should say LAMP. Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP, and Perl, I think it is. And we see a whole bunch of folders. We can display them a bunch of different ways. This is the one we're going to be using a little bit later on, the Htdocs folder. So this is where our hypertext documents are going to go, the pages that we want to serve out. There's some other stuff in here that we don't need for this particular example or need to worry about too much. Okay, now to verify everything looks like it's running, we've got green lights everywhere. I'm going to pop open my web browser, and I have access to the internet. But I prefer using Chrome. You can use others. I'm going to go up here, and in the URL, I'm going to type in 127.0.0.1:8080. And if I see this, I know Apache is working. Now, what this is, 127.0.0.1 is a loopback address, or the IP address that everybody has kind of locally. And this is what's inside the Htdocs directory right now. I can also go in and type in, I can type in localhost :8080. And I see the same page again. So 127.0.0.1 and localhost are pretty much the same thing that we have here. They show the exact same thing. Now we need to set up our MySQL database. So that can be a little tricky, but it makes it pretty easy. Now we have inside, Explore, there we go. We have this Htdocs directory. You can also see there's a directory called phpMyAdmin, and that's some software that we can set up databases and do quite a few other things. So we'll just kind of do the basics here today. To access that, I go to, in my browser, I go to localhost:8080/phpMyAdmin. And I should see this page. There's a bunch of different tabs right here. I'm going to go to the first one, Databases, and I'm going to set up a local database. Now this database will be unique to this local computer, and what that means is if you set this up on a certain computer and you sit someplace else in the next class, that database won't be there. So you'll need to sit at kind of the same location, at least for this part right here. Under the Create Database, we're just going to create a database and we're going to call it WordPress 1. And under collation here, we have a whole bunch of options that can be a little bit, they're basically, you know, we can see languages like Bulgarian and Ukrainian and all sorts of stuff like that. I think we're going to scroll down to the bottom and look for UTF General. Let me see, what is it? UTF General _CI. So let's see if I can find it here. UTF. Why can't I find it? Give me a second. You can see all these different weird headings. There's it USC. Let's see, UTF 16. I think we want just the general one. 32. UTF 8. I guess it's, I think I have a typo in here. I believe I'm just going to use UTF-8 General _CI. So give me 1 second to make a quick little note here. There we go. So we click on that. And then, so we've got that, and then we click on the word create. There we go. Now this creates a database. Now we need to add some privileges. We technically don't need to do this, but from a security point, we want to have a password to access this database that we're going to have to put into our WordPress setup. So under the tabs here, I'm going to go Structure, SQL, Search Query, yada, 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 over here to Privileges. And we can see we just have these root accounts here. I'm going to go down here and say Add User Account. And this pops up. Username, use text field, right there we're going to put in my case, student 99, you're going to put in a different value, the one that the instructor gives you. Under the host name, I'm going to switch that to local. And by default it puts in localhost, that's good, I'm going to use that. Password, I'm going to say use text field, and my password is going to be TOP, all in caps, SECRET1. Now, admittedly, saying your password out loud is not a very good security practice, but this is kind of for our demonstration. And it's kind of a weak password. If we wanted something stronger, we could. But let's just use this TOP, all in caps, SECRET1. There we go. And make sure, I think this should be checked. Grant all privileges on database WordPress 1. That should be checked by default. Everything else we can keep blank right now. WordPress will take care of all the other setup. But I'll scroll to the bottom and click Go. And, nah, I'm not going to have them. Okay, so I've added a user. Create user student 99. We can see this is kind of the syntax that goes on sort of behind the scenes. So we're looking good here. I'm going to open up a different tab and go to WordPress and make sure it's wordpress.org, not wordpress.com. This is where the software that powers WordPress can be downloaded. So just from wordpress.org, we can click on Download WordPress. And as of today, as of this recording, I'm going to be using WordPress 4.9.4. Obviously, if you do this a little bit later, it's going to be a bit different. I'm just going to click Download. Should be a zip file. There it is. And I always like to put it here on my desktop. We can see WordPress 4.9.4.zip. And if I unzip this, we'll see a WordPress folder. I'm actually not going to do that right now to make things move a little faster in the next couple stages. So, back in Xampp, I go to my Volumes tab, General, Service, Network, Volumes, and I'll click Explore. which pops open this window that we have right there. Now, let me move these things around a little bit. There we go. I'm going to navigate into my Htdocs directory, and we can see a bunch of stuff. Now, right now, index.php, when we just put in that localhost :8080, this is the file that gets accessed. Now, watch what I'm going to do right here. I can do this a couple different ways, but the fastest I found is if you just drag the zip file into the Htdocs directory. It'll take a second to copy it over. And I'm not sure why copying is so slow here. I tried decompressing this and bringing that over, and it took forever. But it goes pretty fast if we do that. And then if I double click on this zip file, it gets extracted. Taking a second or two there. Almost done. Come on. Okay. There we go. And there's a new folder, uncompressed folder called WordPress. Now I don't have to do this, but I'm just going to right click and delete this, move to trash. Sure you want to do that? Sure. And then inside my WordPress folder, we can see a whole bunch of files, most of them that start with WP-, and there's 3 folders, WP admin, WP content, WP includes. So we can see a whole bunch of WordPress folders are set up right there. Now, there's a couple different ways to do this. It's gotten a lot easier in the last couple years, but I'm going to navigate. I can close down this tab, and I think I'll even open up this tab and close this one. So open that, close it. And up here, I'm going to type in localhost, localhost :8080 / WordPress. And this will start the WordPress procedure. So this is now going into that WordPress directory. This part, when I type in localhost :8080 WordPress, it's actually going into Htdocs directory and looking for WordPress. And if we look at the rest of the URL, it's going into WP admin, which there's WP admin, and then it's displaying this file setup-config.php. And go down to the S's, setup-config.php, we can see right there. So just to kind of see how these files map to each other. Welcome to WordPress. You can read this through. They need a database name, a username, a password, and a host, and a table prefix. So it tells a little bit about this. You can read more documentation on the WordPress site. I'm just going to click Let's Go. And I see this. My database name, I called it WordPress 1. So make sure to put that in. That's the one that I put in the phpMyAdmin. The username is going to be student, in my case, 99. Yours is going to be different. The password is TOPSECRET1. It's case sensitive, so that has to be uppercase. That has to be lowercase. Database host, I'm going to keep as localhost, and I'll keep the default prefix table, and click Submit. There we go. Now, unfortunately, we can't write this right now, so we've got this. Sorry, I can't write the wp-config.php file. The easiest way to do this is I'm going to copy everything in here. It should be highlighted automatically. If you accidentally click away from it, just put your mouse right here, click and select everything, right-click and say Copy. And this is the text of the WordPress configuration file. So I'm going to go up here to the Spotlight and start up another tool called Text Wrangler. And make sure you use Text Wrangler, don't use TextEdit. This is what we call an ASCII editor. And it's very, very basic and doesn't add a lot of extra characters, so that's good. Up, and there it is. I'm going to right-click and paste that so you can see all that stuff that I put in. Database name, WordPress 1, student 99, top secret, localhost, all that good stuff is inside there. And I'm going to then do a file save and call this, again, it's going to try to put a HTML end on that. I want to call this wp-config.php. .php. And I'm going to save this to the desktop right there. wp-config.php, save. So if I close this down, there we go, we can see there's my wp-config file sitting on the desktop. Now just like with the zip file, again, I'm going to go to the Volume tabs, Explore, I go into my Htdocs directory, and then go into WordPress right there. And I got a minor typo. I'm just going to change in my documentation that we have right there. And you can see there's a, I'm just going to drag wp-config right here into the WordPress file. So there's wp-config sample and wp-config. So things are looking good. So open my browser back up. I've done what they've asked me to here. I've created the wp-config PHP file manually, and I pasted this text into it. And I put it in the right directory. So now I'm going to, after you've done that, click Run the Install. So run the installation. There we go. Okay, things are looking good. We're about to set this up. Site title, I'm just going to call this Blog for Darren Pearson. I can change this title later on. Username, I can do anything. Let's use the same username as our database just in case usually someone forgets it and has to recover, and then I can help out with that. So I'm just going to call this student99. Password, again, they kind of give you one. If you want, you could use whatever's generated. It's going to be different it's going to be random each time. This is a very strong password. Again, since we're running this locally, we have to be less concerned about security. So just to ease things in class, I'm going to use that same password we use for the database, top secret one. And again, it's kind of a weak password. I'm going to have to confirm, yep, it is a weak password. And then your email. Now, in case you totally lose your password, you can say, I lost it. Please send recovery information to this account. I'm not going to check this, discourage search engines from indexing this site. I like search engines to find my stuff in general. And I'll say install WordPress. And it's done. Woohoo! Okay, so success, WordPress has been installed. I can log in with student99 and use the password that I have there. So I'm going to do that right now. I'll click Login. Now right now, notice the URL is localhost:8080/WordPress /wp-login.php. We can also see the same thing if I go to wp-admin. I'll see the same page that we have right there. So my username is student99, my password, top secret 1. If you want, you can say remember me. Log in. And there we go. We're at our dashboard. This should look familiar from the WordPress.com assignments that we did. So I'm going to go in and just create a post. So I'll say post. Right now they already have a Hello World one. There's this option, blog for Darren Pearson visit site. I'm going to right click and we can see this is kind of our public page. Again, I can only see it. We're still behind a firewall, so it's not public on the internet. And we can see there's Hello World, and there's not much there. I'll just go in and create a simple post. Let's see here. Add new. Woohoo! Exclamation mark, not hoop. I just installed WordPress on Xampp. Exclamation mark. Publish. There we go. And now we can see if I refresh the local page, woohoo, I just installed WordPress on Xampp. So we can go in and we'll show all the other things that we can do. We can go and create new themes and plugins and users and all that kind of good stuff, and see how that works. So when I'm all done with this, I am going to close this off. And I'm going to go back into Xampp and shut this down. So I have to do it in a very special way. I'm first going to go to Volumes, Unmount. Then I go to the Network tab. I'll click this and disable it. Red light, that means it's stopped. Services, I'm just going to stop all. they go yellow, red, red, shutting down the MySQL database, red, and under General, I'll hit Stop. Now, I want you to go through this procedure every time because we just don't. It's not a good idea to have servers running if we're not actually using them. At this point, I'll quit Xampp. Do you really want to close the application? Yes, I do. And we're done. Now, in the instructions, I say to power down completely and power it back up. And then the next time that you need to use WordPress, let me clean up my desktop, throw these things away. The next time you need to use WordPress, we go through this procedure again. So I start Xampp, and I got to start my server running. So General, Start, Light. Again, this takes a little while, so fast forward, or maybe I'll pause this. And right now, since our database is not running, if I try to refresh this page, this site cannot be reached. That's because our server is not up and running yet, and we haven't done all that configuration. So localhost :8080/WordPress. Can't see anything. Okay, we've got a green light there. Services, I got to start up, start all. So I got to get my MySQL database going in Apache. We're not FTPing in, so technically we don't need to start that. But network, I'll enable. Forwarding, volumes, mount. At this point now, if I refresh this, woohoo, there we are. So there's localhost :8080/WordPress, shows the public page. I go to localhost :8080/WordPress /WP admin, and it looks like it remembered my username and password. Yep, I'm logged in as student99, and I can go and create posts or pages and do all my other stuff. When I'm done, I quit Chrome and I go through this in reverse. Unmount the volume, network, disable, services, stop all. Come on. There we go. General, stop. There we go. And we're ready to go. So, thanks so much for your time, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.